Ryan Black here with us, our legal expert here at CBS2, to talk about some of the things we've been seeing pop up throughout the court proceedings, including today. So Ryan, let's talk about why the judge's decision to block the autism as an aggravating factor in the death penalty is significant. Significant
because Idaho's decided that we don't use things like autism against someone in deciding whether they should be executed.
Okay, and so with the DNA evidence, how about that, especially the touch DNA on the knife sheath? That's really contested in this case.
It's been incredibly contested because the way they found that information was through genetic genealogical testing, which is a brand new area and one that hasn't really been litigated in Idaho before.
And so why is that making it so controversial for the defense team?
It's controversial because they don't like the way that they found out whose DNA this was on the sheath.
Okay, and so with the judge balancing here the potential for prejudicial evidence that they've been bringing up, like the body cam footage or even the photos of the crime scene, which are quite gruesome, should those kind of things be shown to a jury?
Well, all good evidence is necessarily prejudicial because it shows something that the other side doesn't want you to see. So generally what the judge will do is they'll make sure that the jury gets to see what happened here without making it cumulative, without making them see it over and over and over again.
Okay, and with the defense, they would want to introduce, it's brought up in paperwork in the court documents, alternative suspects that could have been brought up. Why does the judge mean that they need to factual showing, requiring factual showing if that gets brought up?
The judge wants them to talk about things that could happen, that they have proof of, not just things that they could conjecture about. So that's been the big challenge from the judge there, is making sure that defense can provide some actual proof and basis for that alternative suspect theory.
And why is that important in the jury trial, that it's not just conjecture? What does that do for a jury?
Well, jury doesn't want to just see conjecture, right? The judge wants to make sure that evidence that comes before the jury is evidence that's reliable. That's one of the things that a rule of evidence requires of evidence that comes in. It has to be reliable and truthful.
Okay, and then how does excluding terms like psychopath or murderer during the proceedings help ensure a fair trial for him, as those have been brought up as something?
Well, a jury is going to hear the word murderer or psychopath, and they're going to absolutely attach negative connotations to those words. Right? So we try to take words with large conclusions like that away from the jury when we're talking about an individual to make sure that his right to a fair trial is preserved.
Is there anything else happening in today's proceedings that you think are of big impact when it comes to the trial later on in the summer?
I think a ton of what's happened today is going to have a lot of impact, but I think the court's really weighing everything carefully, and it's going to give us some really big decisions here in the next few weeks.
Okay, and of course, Ryan will be with us throughout this process as he has been from the beginning. We're also, of course, following Lori